Habits are the quiet builders of destiny. They are the invisible strings that pull the direction of your life, whether you recognize them or not. Most people spend years chasing sudden breakthroughs, waiting for luck, or hoping for one life-altering event that will change everything overnight. But life does not bend to luck. Life bends to patterns. It bends to the rhythm of what you choose to do every single day. If you want to transform your life, you must stop chasing miracles and instead master the ordinary actions that you repeat without fail. It is not the extraordinary act that shapes you. It is the ordinary act repeated so many times that it becomes part of your very identity. Think about it. Every choice you make either strengthens who you are becoming or weakens it. Every morning you wake up, you are voting for the person you will become through the habits you carry. Do you wake with clarity, or do you drown in hesitation? Do you feed your mind with power, or do you fill it with noise? These tiny decisions do not seem powerful in the moment, but repeated 1,000 times, they form the chains that either bind you or set you free. Habits are not just actions, they are forces. They write your story line by line until you either recognize yourself with pride or with regret. What makes habits so powerful is that they work silently. You may not notice their impact at first. If you repeat a bad habit, your life will not collapse today. If you repeat a good habit, your life will not skyrocket tomorrow. But given time, the compound effect of habits will make your life unrecognizable. That is why success often looks slow in the beginning and sudden in the end. Nothing is sudden. Everything is built. The one who plants seeds consistently reaps a harvest, while the one who waits for miracles starves. The mind loves to complicate success. It wants to believe that success belongs to the lucky, the chosen, or the gifted, but the truth is far simpler. Success belongs to those who master their daily rituals. It belongs to those who respect the small actions and never underestimate their power. Wealth, health, and greatness are not built in the spotlight. They are built in the shadows of discipline, persistence, and repetition. People may envy the visible results, but what they cannot see are the countless invisible moments of consistent action that created them. The dangerous thing about habits is that they work in both directions. They can build you, but they can also destroy you. The same principle that makes success inevitable can make failure certain. If you live with habits that waste time, that drain energy, that cloud your mind, you are building a future of regret, one brick at a time. You cannot cheat this law. Your future will always expose the habits you carry today. The question is not whether you have habits, but whether those habits are worthy of the future you dream about. The power of habits lies in identity. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If your habits align with the person you want to become, your goals become inevitable. If your habits contradict your goals, your dreams collapse under the weight of your actions. This is why people often fail, not because they are weak, but because their daily behaviors are designed to keep them the same. If you want to transform, you must build the habits that belong to your future self, not your present one. Life does not demand that you change everything at once. It only demands that you change what you repeat. One powerful habit can shift the entire trajectory of your life. Replace one destructive pattern with one constructive one, and watch the ripple effect multiply. Each habit you master becomes a tool, a weapon, a shield. It becomes part of your arsenal for building a life that once felt impossible. This is the secret power of habits. They turn impossibility into inevitability. If you want your life to be unrecognizable, do not look for miracles. Look at what you repeat when no one is watching. Look at the small, ordinary choices that feel meaningless today but will determine everything tomorrow. Every action is a seed, and every habit is a field. Plant wisely, reap abundantly. Life is not waiting to change. It is waiting for you to change what you repeat. Habits are the power you already hold, the silent builders of a future you cannot yet see. But when you align them with your purpose, the transformation will not just be noticeable, it will be unrecognizable. Clarity of purpose is the foundation of all transformation. Without it, energy is scattered, effort is wasted, and time slips away without return. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of creating them, not because they lack potential, but because they lack direction. A person without purpose is like a ship without a compass. It moves, it struggles, it fights against the current, but it never reaches a destination. The difference between the one who transforms and the one who remains the same is the ability to define a vision so sharp that it cuts through every distraction. When you know exactly what you are building, hesitation dies and excuses lose their power. Purpose is more than a dream or a wish. It is the burning reason that commands your actions. When clarity of purpose is established, every decision becomes simple. You no longer waste hours debating, doubting, or drifting because the question is no longer what should I do, but does this serve my vision? With this habit, you stop living in reaction and start living with intention. It is impossible to rise higher without clarity, because clarity gives meaning to the sacrifices you must endure. Pain becomes fuel when you know what it is building. Struggle becomes honorable when you understand the destination it serves. Without purpose, even the smallest obstacles crush you. With purpose, even mountains can be moved. The mind loves to wander, and in its wandering, it will accept distractions that look urgent but mean nothing. Clarity filters the noise. It builds a wall against the unimportant and magnifies the essential. This is why so many live exhausted yet unfulfilled. They are busy without direction. They chase opportunities that are not theirs. They fight battles that do not matter, and they wonder why life feels heavy but empty. Ruthless clarity of purpose changes this. It gives you the power to say no without guilt and yes without hesitation. It allows you to walk with certainty when others stumble in confusion. When you know where you are going, doubt has no hold over you. The habit of clarity is not built once. It is refined daily. It requires asking yourself again and again, what am I building? Who am I becoming? Does this action align with the vision I have declared? Without these questions, the mind slips back into comfort and distraction. But with them, you remain anchored to the path you have chosen. A clear purpose is the ultimate motivator. It wakes you up with energy and keeps you moving when fatigue sets in. It demands discipline not out of force, but out of devotion. Clarity makes consistency effortless because it removes confusion from the process. When clarity of purpose becomes a habit, your life transforms at its core. You stop waiting for life to hand you direction, and you seize it with your own hands. You stop envying the lives of others because you know the path that belongs to you. Clarity makes your energy concentrated, your vision sharp, and your results inevitable. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary progress. With purpose, you live with fire. Without it, you merely exist. And the greatest tragedy is not failure, but existence without meaning. The mind is the command center of your entire life. Every thought you allow inside it plants a seed that eventually bears fruit in your reality. Some seeds grow into strength, clarity, and abundance. Others grow into fear, weakness, and defeat. Most people live without guarding their mind, and because of that, they become slaves to whatever thoughts and influences surround them. They let negativity, doubt, and fear slip in unnoticed, and then wonder why their lives reflect struggle instead of strength. The truth is simple. You cannot live a powerful life with a polluted mind. What you think consistently becomes what you feel, and what you feel becomes what you do. If your mind is filled with weakness, your actions will follow. If your mind is filled with power, your destiny will follow. Guarding the mind is not a passive choice. It is an aggressive discipline. You must choose what enters and what is rejected. Just as you would never allow poison into your body, you must refuse poison in the form of destructive thoughts. Every day, the world throws distractions, negativity, and fear in your direction. If you do not filter it, you absorb it. And once absorbed, it begins to control you. That is why guarding the mind is a habit that separates the average from the unstoppable. The average person consumes everything, every doubt, every complaint, every useless distraction. The unstoppable person builds walls around their mind and allows only what strengthens them to enter. Guarding the mind requires awareness. Most destructive thoughts do not appear as dangerous at first. They whisper quietly, "You're not enough. You will fail. It's too hard." These whispers grow louder the more attention you give them. The habit of guarding the mind teaches you to recognize them instantly and reject them before they take root. Instead, you feed the mind with beliefs that empower you. I am capable. I will persist. I will rise. These are not empty affirmations. They are shields against the poison of doubt. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to repel weakness and attract strength. This habit is not only about rejecting the negative, but also about actively planting the positive. Reading, learning, meditating, reflecting. These are not luxuries, but necessities for those who wish to build a strong mind. Every powerful thought you feed yourself becomes a weapon in your arsenal. Every idea that inspires you becomes fuel when life tests you. The more you guard your mind, the less control external forces have over you. You stop being swayed by opinions, by circumstances, by failures. Instead, you act from inner strength, guided by a mind that has been trained to think in alignment with your vision. The one who guards their mind relentlessly becomes untouchable. Life may throw storms, but the mind remains steady. Critics may attack, but the mind remains unshaken. Challenges may arise, but the mind sees opportunities instead of obstacles. This strength is not gifted. It is built through habit. When you choose what to think, when you filter what you allow, when you build the walls that protect your inner world, you gain a freedom most never experience. Guarding the mind is not simply a habit, it is the very foundation of mental power, and with it, you can face anything. Discipline is the cornerstone of transformation, but most people misunderstand it. They think discipline is about enormous sacrifices or monumental acts of willpower. They imagine discipline as running marathons, working endless hours, or pushing through extreme pain. But real discipline is not about the dramatic. It is about the small, consistent acts that no one sees. It is about doing the right thing at the right time every single day, even when no one is watching. The smallest disciplines, repeated faithfully, build an identity that cannot be shaken. They are the foundation that holds your entire life together. Ignore them, and even the strongest dreams collapse. Honor them, and even the impossible becomes possible. The truth is, success rarely demands massive effort in one moment. It demands small effort repeated in every moment. The way you rise in the morning, the way you keep your space, the way you finish what you start. These are not insignificant details. They are proof of who you are becoming. If you lack discipline in small things, you will lack it in the big things. If you cannot keep promises to yourself in the ordinary, you will break them in the extraordinary. Every act of self-discipline is a declaration, I am in control of myself. Without it, you are a prisoner of your moods, your impulses, and your laziness. The challenge with small disciplines is that they are easy to dismiss. Skipping one commitment feels harmless. Breaking one routine feels like nothing. But over time, these tiny cracks weaken the structure of your character. What you do once may not matter, but what you repeat always matters. This is why discipline is not measured in intensity, but in consistency. The one who wins is not the one who does the most in a single burst, but the one who does the small things without fail. The repeated act, not the dramatic act, creates strength. Discipline in the smallest things trains your mind and body to obey your vision instead of your feelings. Feelings are unreliable. They rise and fall. They change with the wind. If your life is built on feelings, you will always drift. But if your life is built on disciplined habits, you will always progress, even on the days you don't feel like moving. This is the secret of the disciplined. They do not wait for motivation. They create momentum. They understand that momentum comes from action, not emotion. And once momentum is built, it becomes unstoppable. When you practice discipline in the smallest things, you create a chain reaction. Waking up on time gives you control of the morning. Controlling the morning gives you control of the day. Controlling the day gives you control of the week. Control the week and you control the year. Control the year and you control your life. Discipline is not a single act. It is a system of acts, each one feeding the next. The habit of discipline makes success not a matter of chance, but a matter of time. You cannot escape the rewards of discipline, just as you cannot escape the consequences of its absence. The disciplined person becomes free. While others are ruled by distraction, temptation, and weakness, the disciplined person walks with power. They do not waste energy fighting battles with themselves because their habits already decide the outcome. Their discipline has built a structure that carries them forward even when willpower runs low. This is why discipline in the smallest things is not optional. It is everything. Master the small and the great will follow. Neglect the small and the great will forever remain out of reach. Discipline is destiny, and it begins in the smallest acts. Persistence is the habit that separates those who merely wish from those who truly achieve. It is the force that carries you through when inspiration fades, when progress slows, and when obstacles rise like walls in your path. Most people begin with excitement, but few continue when the road grows difficult. They mistake temporary resistance for permanent failure and surrender just before the breakthrough. The truth is simple. Anything worthwhile demands persistence. It demands showing up again and again, even when results are invisible and rewards are distant. Persistence transforms resistance into growth and struggle into strength. Without it, dreams remain illusions. With it, even the impossible bends to your will. Excuses are the greatest enemies of persistence. The mind is skilled at creating reasons to stop. Too tired, too busy, too hard, not the right time. Each excuse feels convincing in the moment, but every excuse you obey weakens you. Excuses are the lies you tell yourself to avoid discomfort, but comfort is the very place where growth dies. Persistence is the habit of refusing excuses, of moving forward no matter the obstacle. When you eliminate excuses, progress becomes inevitable because nothing can stand in the way of consistent effort. Obstacles lose their power against a spirit that refuses to quit. Persistence is not about speed, it is about endurance. It is not about doing everything at once, but about never abandoning what matters most. Even small steps taken consistently lead to massive transformation. The mountain does not intimidate the one who persists because they know that one step repeated will eventually reach the summit. This is the secret of persistence. It transforms overwhelming challenges into manageable actions. The one who persists does not need to know how long it will take. They only need to know that they will not stop. And because they do not stop, they always arrive. Failure is not the opposite of persistence. It is part of it. Every failure carries within it a lesson that persistence uncovers. Those who quit after failing never learn the lesson, and so they never rise higher. But those who persist turn failure into wisdom and wisdom into progress. Persistence is the alchemy that transforms setbacks into stepping stones. What once felt like defeat becomes the very foundation of victory. Each time you persist after failure, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than circumstances, and this self-belief becomes the ultimate power. The habit of persistence builds character, creates resilience in the face of chaos and faith in the face of uncertainty. It teaches you to trust the process, even when you cannot yet see the result. With persistence, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy, because you understand that consistency compounds. Every effort, no matter how small, builds upon the last until success is no longer a matter of luck but of certainty. The world eventually bends to the one who refuses to give up. Persistence is the bridge between vision and reality, between who you are and who you are becoming. And once persistence becomes your daily habit, there is no force strong enough to keep you from what you are destined to achieve. Silence is one of the most underestimated powers in human life. Most people feel the need to fill every moment with words, to defend themselves, to explain themselves, to constantly express what they feel. Yet in that noise, they lose control. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the ability to hold back when the world demands you react. It is the strength to remain composed while others lose themselves in anger or fear. Silence gives birth to clarity, and clarity gives birth to power. In silence, the mind becomes sharp, the emotions become calm, and decisions become wiser. Self-control begins with silence. When you master the ability to pause before reacting, you gain command over yourself. Most destroy opportunities not because of lack of skill, but because they cannot control their impulses. A single outburst of anger, a careless word, or a reckless decision can undo years of effort. Self-control prevents this. It is the invisible shield that protects your progress from being ruined by temporary emotions. It is the voice that whispers, wait, think, act with intention. Without self-control, you are a slave to your impulses. With it, you become the master of your destiny. The habit of silence trains you to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. In silence, you hear the whispers of intuition, the truth that noise often drowns out. You recognize your real motives, your hidden fears, your deepest desires. Silence allows you to align your actions with your true self, instead of being pulled in every direction by external pressure. People fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves. But those who embrace it gain an advantage. They see what others cannot, and they hear what others ignore. This awareness is power. Self-control is not about denying emotion, but about channeling it. Anger can become energy for progress. Fear can become fuel for courage. Desire can become drive for achievement, but only if it is controlled. Left unchecked, these emotions consume you. Controlled, they serve you. Every great achievement requires sacrifice, and the greatest sacrifice is the comfort of giving in to impulses. The disciplined mind learns to delay gratification, to wait for the right moment, to act not from emotion but from vision. This is not repression, it is redirection. It is using energy instead of wasting it. Silence and self-control together build authority over your own life. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself with words because your results speak louder. You no longer waste time in conflict because you choose battles worth fighting. You no longer lose energy in emotional chaos because you remain centered while others are scattered. The habit of silence makes your words rare and powerful, while the habit of self-control makes your actions deliberate and unstoppable. Together, they create a person who cannot be shaken, a person who carries calm in chaos and strength in stillness. That is true power, the kind that transforms not just circumstances, but identity. Learning is the fuel of transformation. The moment you stop learning, you begin to decline because the world never stops moving forward. Most people live on recycled knowledge, repeating the same thoughts, the same beliefs, the same routines, and they wonder why nothing changes. But those who make learning a daily habit build a reservoir of power that compounds over time. One idea, one perspective, one piece of wisdom can alter the direction of an entire life. Knowledge is not just information, it is leverage. It is the weapon that allows you to overcome ignorance, break cycles, and rise above limits. The mind is like a muscle. If you do not stretch it, it weakens. Daily learning stretches the mind, forcing it to grow, to expand, to see more than it saw yesterday. The habit of learning is not about consuming everything at once. It is about consistency. Just as persistence creates strength in action, consistent learning creates strength in thought. Reading a page each day, reflecting on an idea, studying the lives of those who achieved greatness, these acts build mental wealth. Over time, the small deposits of knowledge accumulate into a fortune that no one can take from you. Intentional learning is different from passive consumption. The world is flooded with information, but most of it is noise. People scroll endlessly, consume mindlessly, and call it learning, but nothing changes because they absorb without purpose. Intentional learning is selective. It asks, does this knowledge serve my vision? Does it sharpen my mind? Does it strengthen me? It is not about quantity, but quality. A single book applied with focus can transform you more than 1,000 distractions consumed without thought. This is why intentionality matters. Knowledge without direction is confusion, but knowledge aligned with purpose is transformation. The habit of learning also builds humility. It reminds you that no matter how far you've come, there is always further to go. Arrogance is the death of progress, but curiosity keeps you alive. Each day you learn, you admit that there is more to master, more to discover, more to understand. This mindset not only elevates you, but also protects you from stagnation. Those who believe they already know enough stop growing, and when growth stops, decline begins. But those who remain students forever continue to evolve, adapt, and expand their potential. When you commit to intentional learning every day, your mind becomes a weapon no challenge can defeat. You begin to see solutions where others see problems, opportunities where others see barriers. You gain the ability to think beyond circumstances and design a future that others cannot even imagine. Learning is not a hobby, it is survival for the ambitious. And when you make it a daily ritual, the gap between you and the person you once were grows so wide that your life becomes unrecognizable. Each page, each lesson, each new understanding is a step toward mastery. With time, those steps create a path to greatness. Environment is one of the most powerful forces shaping human behavior. Yet it is the one most people underestimate. You may have the strongest vision, the sharpest discipline, and the clearest purpose, but if you live in the wrong environment, your growth will suffocate. The environment is stronger than willpower. No matter how determined you are, if you remain surrounded by negativity, by people who drain instead of fuel, by influences that pull you backward, you will eventually conform. This is not weakness, it is psychology. Human beings adapt to what surrounds them. If you want transformation, you must design your environment to reflect the future you are building, not the past you are escaping. Every environment contains two forces, one that nourishes growth and one that destroys it. The places you go, the voices you listen to, the energy you allow around you, all of these shape who you become. If you surround yourself with laziness, mediocrity becomes normal. If you surround yourself with ambition, excellence becomes standard. This is why environment matters. It sets the standard for what you believe is possible. You will never rise above the expectations of your environment unless you deliberately step into a higher one. Greatness is not built in toxic soil. It requires an environment that feeds it, strengthens it, and protects it. Choosing your environment wisely is not always comfortable. It often means leaving behind relationships that no longer serve you, distancing yourself from voices that limit you, and stepping away from places where your vision cannot breathe. Many resist this because comfort feels safer than change, but comfort is the cage that kills transformation. You cannot become unrecognizable while clinging to the same people, the same habits, and the same spaces that keep you ordinary. The price of elevation is separation. The price of growth is letting go of environments that keep you small. At the same time, environment is not only about removing the negative, but also about seeking the positive. Find spaces where growth is expected, not optional. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to rise higher, who push you beyond your excuses, who reflect the kind of strength and discipline you aspire to build. Create an environment that aligns with your vision. Fill your space with reminders of your goals. Build routines that support your future, and design daily surroundings that keep you focused. Environment is not something you simply exist in. It is something you can construct. And when you construct it with intention, it becomes your greatest ally. When you choose your environment wisely, transformation accelerates. Progress no longer feels forced because your surroundings naturally push you forward. Negativity no longer controls you because it is no longer near you. Mediocrity no longer tempts you because you have raised the standard of what you accept. The right environment makes success inevitable because it conditions you daily for the life you want. Change your environment and you change your future. Guard it as fiercely as you guard your mind, because together they shape the person you are becoming. With the right environment, you will rise without limit. Your body is the vessel through which every dream, every action, and every victory must pass. Without health, success loses its power. Without strength, ambition loses its edge. You can have the sharpest mind and the grandest vision, but if your body is weak, tired, and neglected, you will struggle to sustain progress. True transformation cannot exist without health, because health is the foundation of energy, clarity, and discipline. Many ignore this truth until their body forces them to face it. They chase wealth while sacrificing sleep. They pursue goals while poisoning themselves with poor habits. They drive their mind forward while their body crumbles behind them. This is not power, it is self-sabotage. Power comes from alignment, and alignment begins with health. Health is not only about the absence of sickness, it is about the presence of vitality, strength, and resilience. When you eat food that nourishes instead of numbs, when you move your body with discipline instead of leaving it idle, when you honor sleep instead of treating it like weakness, you are not just building health, you are building power. Every workout becomes a lesson in persistence. Every meal becomes an act of self-respect. Every moment of rest becomes an investment in focus. Your body becomes the engine that fuels your mind, and your mind becomes the driver that steers your body. Together, they create unstoppable momentum. Neglecting health is one of the greatest forms of self-betrayal. You cannot claim to seek greatness while poisoning your body with habits that destroy it. You cannot demand strength from your life while refusing to build strength within your body. This is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about showing up daily for the vessel that carries you, the machine that executes your dreams, the foundation that supports every victory. Without this, transformation collapses. With it, you rise above limits that once held you. The most powerful people in history understood this truth. Discipline over the body shapes discipline over the mind. Training your body trains your will. Overcoming physical resistance conditions you to overcome mental resistance. When you force yourself to run one more mile, lift one more repetition, or push through one more minute, you are not just shaping your muscles, you are shaping your spirit. You are teaching yourself persistence. You are building the habit of refusing to quit. The body and the mind cannot be separated in transformation. They are partners in power. When you treat health as the foundation of your success, life changes. Energy becomes your weapon. Clarity becomes your shield. Discipline becomes your identity. You begin to feel unshakable, not just in body, but in spirit. You stand taller, move stronger, think sharper. You no longer collapse under pressure because your body supports the weight of your vision. Health is not a luxury. It is your greatest wealth. Protect it, build it, and guard it fiercely. For in health, you unlock the strength to rise unrecognizable, the energy to persist, and the power to conquer every battle on the path of transformation. Success does not belong to the one who works hard once, or even for a short season. It belongs to the one who shows up every single day, no matter what. Consistency is not glamorous. It does not scream for attention, and it rarely brings applause in the beginning. But consistency is the silent architect of transformation. It is the invisible hand that builds greatness, brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice. Anyone can start. Many people begin with passion, with fire, with excitement. But only the consistent finish. Only the consistent become unrecognizable. The secret is not intensity for a day. It is persistence for a lifetime. Consistency means showing up when it's inconvenient. It means keeping your promises to yourself when no one is watching. It means doing the work even when the motivation is gone. Motivation comes and goes like the wind, but consistency is the anchor that keeps you steady through storms. When you are consistent, your actions stop being negotiable. They become part of who you are. You don't think about whether you will do them, you simply do. This is how habits turn into identity. The person who runs daily stops being someone who tries to run. They become a runner. The person who writes daily stops being someone who wants to write. They become a writer. Consistency transforms effort into character. Every time you show up, you strengthen your identity. Every time you keep a commitment, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. This builds confidence that cannot be shaken because it is rooted in action. It is easy to doubt yourself when your life is filled with broken promises and half-finished attempts, but when you show up consistently, doubt loses its grip. You no longer have to ask if you are capable, because your actions already prove it. Confidence is not built by words, it is built by patterns. And consistency is the pattern that forges unshakable belief in yourself. Consistency also compounds. Small daily actions repeated over months and years create results that look impossible to those who give up too soon. 10 pages a day becomes books written. 10 push-ups a day becomes strength built. 10 minutes of focus a day becomes mastery. Consistency makes the impossible possible, not through one massive effort, but through relentless daily commitment. The power is not in what you do once. It is in what you do always. That is why consistency must not be treated as an action, but as an identity. It must not depend on mood, but on discipline. When consistency becomes who you are, nothing can stop you. Delays cannot break you. Distractions cannot pull you away. Difficulties cannot discourage you. Because you are no longer chasing success, you are embodying the habits that guarantee it. Success is no longer a question of if, but a matter of when. And when that moment arrives, people will not recognize you, because consistency will have rewritten your identity, reshaped your destiny, and remade your life into a reflection of the power of persistence. The mind is the battlefield where every victory is first won and every defeat is first planted. What you allow into your mind determines the direction of your life. Negativity is poison. It creeps in quietly, disguising itself as doubt, as fear, as complaint, as limitation. It whispers that you are not enough, that the world is against you, that success is for others but not for you. And the tragedy is this: most people never realize that they are living under the influence of these poisonous thoughts. They wake up each day carrying weights they were never meant to carry, shackled by beliefs that were never truly theirs. Guarding your mind from negativity is not optional. It is essential, because the mind left unprotected will always drift toward weakness. To guard your mind means to become intentional about what you consume, what you listen to, what you speak, and what you dwell upon. Just as you would never leave the door of your home wide open for intruders, you must never leave the gates of your mind unguarded. Words are seeds. Conversations are seeds. Media is seed. Every seed planted grows into a tree that will either nourish you or destroy you. If you let in constant negativity, you will grow forests of fear, doubt, and despair. But if you choose carefully, planting thoughts of courage, possibility, and discipline, you will grow a mind that fuels your rise. Your environment is powerful, but your choices are stronger. Guard your mind with vigilance. The greatest danger of negativity is not that it makes you feel bad, it is that it makes you stop trying. Convinces you that action is pointless. It turns ambition into hesitation and confidence into paralysis. Negativity is the enemy of growth because it strips you of the belief that change is possible. That is why you must not only block negativity from others, you must also silence it within yourself. Every time the inner voice of doubt speaks, you must answer it with truth. Every time fear tells you you can't, you must respond with proof that you can. This is the discipline of mental strength: to refuse entry to lies and to nurture only the thoughts that empower you. Guarding your mind is not about living in denial. It is about protecting your power. The world will always have noise. People will always have opinions. Challenges will always present reasons to give up. But you get to decide what enters and what stays. You get to decide whether negativity finds a home in your mind or whether it is stopped at the gate. This is why powerful people are intentional with their thoughts. They understand that the mind shapes the future. They feed their mind with vision, with courage, with resilience, and in doing so, they create lives that others cannot comprehend. The moment you begin guarding your mind, transformation accelerates. Doubt begins to weaken. Fear loses its control. Confidence grows. Hope strengthens. You stop reacting to life and begin directing it. You stop being pulled down by the weight of negativity and start rising into the clarity of possibility. Guarding your mind is not just a habit, it is a shield. And with that shield, you protect the most valuable territory you will ever possess, the space where your future is born. Your environment is either a prison that holds you back or a catalyst that propels you forward. Many people underestimate the influence of their surroundings, believing that discipline alone will carry them. But the truth is simple. Even the strongest discipline struggles in a toxic environment, while even modest discipline thrives in one that nurtures growth. If you are surrounded by people who complain, you will feel the weight of complaint pulling on you. If you spend your time in spaces that encourage laziness, you will begin to accept mediocrity as normal. But if you position yourself in an environment that demands more of you, where progress is expected, where growth is celebrated, where effort is the standard, you will be forced upward. The environment either drags you down or elevates you. It never leaves you unchanged. To build an environment that forces growth, you must first become aware of what currently surrounds you. Look at your circle, your routines, your daily spaces. Do they feed your vision or starve it? Do they challenge you to rise or make it easy to settle? Awareness is the first step because many people live blind to the subtle influence of their surroundings. They wonder why they struggle to change, never realizing they are living in soil too barren to grow. Once you recognize the power of environment, you will no longer accept mediocrity around you. You will understand that to transform yourself, you must also transform where and with whom you spend your time. This does not mean abandoning everyone or living in isolation. It means intentionally designing your environment to align with your goals. It means choosing to spend more time with people who inspire you than those who drain you. It means structuring your physical space to make discipline easier and weakness harder. If you want to read more, fill your room with books instead of distractions. If you want to exercise, make movement accessible instead of hidden. If you want to think boldly, surround yourself with voices and messages that expand your vision instead of shrinking it. Growth is not an accident. It is engineered through the environment you build. The strongest environments are those that make growth unavoidable. When you are surrounded by people who operate at a higher level, you feel the pressure to rise. When your space is set up for discipline, laziness becomes uncomfortable. When your conversations are filled with vision and progress, negativity finds no place to rest. This is the secret. Stop trying to fight against environments that hold you back and instead create one that pushes you forward automatically. The environment becomes your ally. It becomes the silent force that keeps you moving even when your motivation is low. When you build an environment that forces growth, transformation accelerates. You no longer rely on willpower alone. You rely on alignment. Every influence around you supports your rise. Every detail of your space reminds you of who you are becoming. You find yourself thinking bigger, acting bolder, and refusing to shrink back to who you once were. The environment stops being a mirror of your past and becomes a vision of your future. In that space, growth is no longer optional. It is inevitable. The deepest transformation in life does not come from chasing comfort, pleasure, or even success. It comes from aligning yourself with a purpose greater than your own desires. When your actions are driven only by self-interest, your fuel eventually runs out. The pursuit becomes shallow, and victories feel empty. But when you connect your life to something beyond yourself, something that uplifts, inspires, or serves, you tap into an endless source of strength. Purpose is the fire that does not burn out. It is the anchor in chaos, the light in darkness, the compass in confusion. It gives meaning to pain, direction to struggle, and value to sacrifice. Without purpose, success feels hollow. With purpose, even struggle feels sacred. Living with purpose means waking up each day with clarity that your life is not an accident, that your effort is not wasted, and that your growth contributes to something greater. Purpose transforms ordinary actions into powerful ones. Reading a book is no longer just about gaining knowledge. It is about equipping yourself to create impact. Building wealth is no longer just about comfort. It is about using resources to build, contribute, and expand. Discipline is no longer just about control. It is about becoming strong enough to fulfill the mission placed within you. Purpose elevates everything you do. It makes the smallest task significant and the hardest task possible. When your why is strong, the how becomes unstoppable. The danger of living without purpose is that life becomes directionless. You drift, you react instead of create. You are pulled by the noise of others instead of guided by your inner compass. Without purpose, every challenge feels like punishment. With purpose, every challenge feels like preparation. This is the difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who rise through it. Purpose transforms obstacles into stepping stones because you understand that the struggle itself is part of your calling. When you live with purpose, life no longer happens to you. It happens for you. To live with purpose beyond self requires courage. It requires breaking free from the illusion that happiness comes only from taking. True fulfillment comes from giving, from serving, from knowing that your existence creates ripples beyond your own life. This is the kind of transformation that makes you unrecognizable, because it changes not only what you do, but who you are. It changes the way you see time, energy, and success. You stop measuring life by how much you gain and start measuring it by how much you give. You stop asking, what can I take from this world, and begin asking, what can I leave behind? When you live with purpose beyond yourself, you cannot be broken, because your life is tied to something eternal. You cannot be stopped because your vision extends beyond personal comfort. You cannot be forgotten because your impact will echo through others long after you are gone. Purpose is the final habit that completes transformation. It is the crown of discipline, the reason behind persistence, the soul of consistency. And when you embrace it fully, you rise beyond recognition, not because you gained everything for yourself, but because you became a light for others. That is the ultimate victory.